You know, I've always wanted to be able to read and watch Japanese native content, and I think that goes for all of us. So I've spent the last 45 days reading Japanese manga every day, and here's what I learned. On the 22nd of August of this year, I started reading manga every day in Japanese. And let me tell you, the beginning was very, very difficult. And it's still not easy, but the progress I've made is substantial. And for reference, the first double page of the manga took me over 1 hour to complete. And it wasn't even a proper double page. And that directly leads me to the first point I want to make. And that's the whole conversation about comprehension. You know, in the realm of immersion, comprehension is a huge topic. How comprehensive should your immersion be or the content you're watching be? And many people throw out numbers like 80% and stuff like that. And I'm not saying this is wrong or bad, but I kind of want to shift the conversation. Because the short answer is it needs to be outside of your comfort zone. So it needs to be challenging. And for efficiency's sake, it probably shouldn't be so difficult that you don't understand anything at all. But like I said, I want to shift into a different perspective. And that is that engagement is much more important than comprehension. We can take both ends of the spectrum. The one is 100% comprehension, which that definitely is a bad thing. Because that's you just listening to a kids show in your native language. You're not gonna make any progress doing that. And the other side of the spectrum is 0%, which is, for example, someone who doesn't speak any Japanese and goes right into watching anime. And now the reason I want to shift the conversation from comprehension to engagement is that it is much more important for you to actually stick with what you're immersing in, and that most of the arguments that are against the low spectrum of 0 to 50% comprehension are that it isn't fun. But if we take an example of someone who doesn't really know any Japanese, and that person is very motivated to start reading One Piece in Japanese from 0, then that's not necessarily a bad idea because he's interested in it. And that interest and that motivation is much more important than finding that golden sweet spot of comprehension. Because in the end, you're just gonna get bombarded with stuff that you don't know, and you're just gonna have to learn a lot to then acquire the knowledge so the comprehension goes up. Which isn't really a very big difference to something that has maybe 70 or 80% comprehension for you, because the only difference is that that kind of high comprehension immersive material is a bit more fun to immerse in. But if you wanted to immerse in One Piece, or for me GTO, in the first place, then I think you should. So in conclusion, for me, engagement is much more important than comprehension, but only if you're looking at the low spectrum of comprehension. If you're already pretty good at Japanese and you want to watch Heidi, which is a kids show, then that probably isn't the best choice for progress because the comprehension is too high. Too high comprehension, I think, is problematic. Too low comprehension, not so much. Alright, next point, which is helpful tools. Next to like Jisho, which is just a normal dictionary, or DeepL and Google Translate, the biggest tool for me has been ChatGPT. And it doesn't seem like a surprise, but it was quite surprising to me how powerful it is, especially in this context. Now for me, I read manga in paper, so I always take a picture of the paper and upload it to ChatGPT. And I'll just jump into an example because I think that makes it a lot clearer. Here, like I said, I just take a picture of whatever speech bubble or maybe part of a speech bubble I don't understand, and I ask for a translation and I ask for a breakdown as well. So it gives me not only the small individual parts of the sentence, but also combines them and maybe gives some nuance and the vibe, I guess, of the whole scene. Now, of course, this is still a tool, so you should use your brain, but it is shockingly accurate, I think. The only thing you should be aware of is that when you're taking pictures like me, that if the resolution or the picture isn't good enough, then it won't tell you it can't read what you've taken the picture from, but it'll just translate to the best of its ability, even if it can't read what's in the picture. Most of the time it repeats it anyway in text, so you can double check, but make sure your quality of the picture is good enough. And if you're immersing digitally, it's much easier. You just take screenshots and that process is even better. And now the next point is repetition. And that's not direct advice because I'm not far along yet, but I'm very confident that that's a good thing to do. And I will most certainly do it once I'm done with volume 1. And that's repeating volume 1 again, instead of jumping to the next volume. Because for now, I've just been reading, trying to understand everything that's there, and then going to the next page. I haven't been adding any words to Anki, and I haven't filtered out any words I want to learn and retain, and maybe some words that I don't. So when I'm done with the book, I will start from anew, and it will be a lot quicker, obviously, and then filter out the stuff that I want to retain and put it into an SRS program. And as always, with high quality cards. Very important. And in case you want to make sure that you aren't wasting a lot of time in the vocabulary learning process, check out this video that I've made around the topic. But most importantly, when it comes to immersing, it is going to be tough. It's not going to just be fun and games because it's work, but just stick with it because the most important thing is that you stay consistent.